Hey guys, welcome to Walsham Weekly. This week I'm speaking to Chent, an entrepreneur who is the co-founder of AR Exercise. He has also successfully built his own personal training business, and now he is moving to Sydney after getting the first funding round for his startup. This guy is a heavy hitter. He knows so much stuff that I had no clue about a lot of the stuff. The stuff that he tells me about, what he has taught me on and off the podcast is really very, very, very valuable for myself, and I hope it will be for you. Thank you guys very much for listening and enjoy.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than
Everybody
you.
has time. Stop watching Lost.
I love what I do, and that's why I'm doing what I love.
Hey guys, welcome to Walsham Weekly. I'm here with Chent, a fitness entrepreneur and ARX co-founder. Chent, how did you get into this whole journey of self-development, entrepreneurial discovery, and fitness as well?
Man, in all honesty, if I told you the whole story, we could be here for a couple of days. So a summarized version, I was quite lost when I was, in high school, coming out of high school, got into a bit of trouble. During this time, the only thing that really gave me a sense of happiness, if you want to call it, was the gym. I got my first gym membership when I was 14. That was sort of the only consistent thing in my life, aside from drinking, partying, getting into mischief.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess the big turning point for me, I guess that the saying goes, breakups make bodybuilders. And when I was 21, I broke up with one of my long-term girlfriends, and just to feel better about myself, I started going to the gym. Build up self-confidence. And the gym taught me about self-development in all aspects. I started realizing that while growing my body, it's just as important to grow your mind.
Yeah.
And and that's just one little small portion of it. So it sort of turned into obsession. My body, my mind, then it turned into business, financial security, and it's pretty much where I'm currently at.
Yeah. And then from the gym, where did you hit that point where you knew you wanted to make it a career? Because for myself, right now it's just a hobby. I'd love to turn it into a career,
of course,
something like that. But for myself, I was thinking of doing something with it, but I don't know if it's the right stage yet. But how did you know you're at the right point to just go and start that?
Definitely.
And make it a career.
Yeah, real good question, man. For a long time, a lot of people told me that, fitness industry is saturated. There's too many personal trainers. You can't make money in the fitness industry. And I thought that. I believed what people said.
Yeah.
So after school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. My dad pretty much said, get a paper in civil engineering, study it, and I'll get you a job.
Yeah.
So that's what I done. I thought that, I hated it. I thought that that's what work is.
Yeah.
Just something you hate, as majority of people do hate their job.
Yeah.
And you just go to work until you love it.
Yeah.
So there was this one story. I was working as a geotechnical engineer. So you're pretty much digging soil and testing soil stability for obviously like projects and developments.
Yeah.
And we're working on the site in the middle of winter where I had to dig use something called a hand auger to dig a 4.5 meter hole in the swamp. So it means that I had to pretty much dress up in a rain jacket and get covered in mud in the middle of winter.
Fuck.
And I remember I was working on that job. It was like I had to carry on with it on the Monday. And on that Sunday, I was like, oh man, can you swear on this, by the way?
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I was like, oh fuck this. I really don't want to do this. So I just started Googling personal training courses. I found something called Max International College for Fitness Professionals. And it said like inquiry, they send you a free, info about their course. So I was like, well, how's it gonna hurt?
Yeah.
And I done that. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't have taken any action on it. But that day itself, one of the tutors actually rang me, a guy called Tommy, who's also club manager of TomFit in Albany.
Yeah.
So I'm always thankful to that guy. And literally, just booked in a time for me to come see him. And that meeting with him, he just told me how you can make money in the fitness industry, how to be an entrepreneur, how to potentially franchise and, be your own boss. And that was the turning point for me. I enrolled into this course after hours. I got my certification, and then I pretty much made the jump.
So no, it's definitely like a very, very scary thing to go and do that, because you were in this completely different field and then go straight to fitness. Did you find that transition like a very, very hard thing to do, or did it feel right? Or
I think strong emotional trigger has to be there. Like generally not just a decision. It was that pain of going back to that job.
Yeah.
And they always say when the pain of how do you even say it? when the pain of staying the same is greater than, scratch that quote, it's out of my head. But yeah, you get what I'm saying with that. I knew I was going to take a massive loss because civil engineer, you're getting a decent amount of money. Starting all the way at the bottom at a gym instructor, which is minimum wage. But I already had that vision and plan in mind, what Max has taught me. Gym instructor, work for a trainer at a club, build up your client base, swap to working for yourself as a trainer. Then once you get a bit of experience, potentially open up your own space as a small PT studio, franchise. And I had that envision, and I knew that I was going to take the hit. I knew that I had a little bit of support staying at home, so I wasn't flatting or anything at that time. So I was ready for the change. I knew it was going to take a hit, and the pain of staying in that job was just too much. So I had to do it.
Because when it comes to like the plan, has it changed, or has it just become more solid in your mind, or how's it evolved? Has it completely gone in a different direction, or?
Good question, bro. I reckon a plan is vital at the start, but that plan is always going to change. It's changed so much. Man, I have this book called literally a book A4 size called Ideas. It's got a massive ideas. And I started getting into the entrepreneurial journey where what I would do is on each page I would write name of a business, freestyle a little logo for fun. What the business does, the objective, the strategies, the target market, how it makes money, and those literally boot camps, apparel businesses. If Above Average was one of these, and that's also a apparel business I started. With all of these, each one of these was a plan at one point. That while I'm being a gym instructor and getting a stable income, I'm going to grow a business and invest that money into something. And a lot of these things failed, I've done a lot. I've literally, my room, I've got 10 different business cards of all these like random businesses. Because I've gone Vistaprint, make the business cards so I can sort of feel the part. And Above Average was one that sort of boomed a little, I to be honest, I messed that up. Or me and my business partner messed it up. We didn't know what we're doing. Didn't last long. And then PT, which is what I'm doing now, was my first one that actually was a bread earner. I started actually earning an income with it. And this ARX is the latest one. And I guess my partner, who was, in his 40s, was a massive influence for me. He taught me, saved me a lot of time and mistakes. So that really skyrocketed. But yeah, your question, man, plan. You got to have a plan, but the plan will always change. Just make a start. That's pretty much what you got to do.
And because you mentioned ARX, what is ARX? What is AR? What is all this?
Exactly. So ARX, in a nutshell, is we're using augmented reality technology to transform exercise into a game. So a major pain point for general public is exercise is a chore, it's boring, it sucks, it's not fun. So we want to bring gamification elements into it to make it a fun experience that's actually addictive and make people want to go to the gym. So this idea really came about after Pokemon Go. So, So Pokemon Go was, I'm in a Pokemon era. That was when I was 10. I was playing with the cards and everything. That's what I watched. Pokemon Blue and Red on Game Boy. That's my whole era. So when Pokemon Go came out, it was actually the first thing that proved market disruption, which is a powerful thing, with augmented reality. So it uses elements of augmented reality, and it got people moving. It got thousands of people up and moving. Shitload of downloads. I think that don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure the stat was more downloads in 24 hours than like Twitter or something large like that. And I was training my business partner at the time. He was a client of mine, game developer called Joe. And I remember being on the treadmill with him, just doing a usual PT banter as we do. And I was like, man, did you see Pokemon Go? Man, that shows market disruption. And that session itself, I was literally like, had him slamming medicine balls on the ground. And I was like, man, imagine if, you could see like effects like you're smashing like Donald Trump's face. But some sort of visuals. And we were sort of imagining it. And then we're like, hey, maybe we're onto something. Let's start catching up every Wednesday after work and just draw on a whiteboard and see what happens. Because he was in that collaborative entrepreneurial space. And one day turned to 4 days a week, pretty much turned into a MVP, which is a minimal viable product, which is our glasses. And everyone we showed and everyone we trialed it to, was a big fan. So it really reinforced to us we're onto something.
So then you go from this idea all the way to like implementing it. How do you even, because if you don't know where to find that partner and you had this idea, where else would you go? Like,
man, I really recommend something called Scrum. Scrum and Agile. There are two methods of business development, and also a book called The Lean Startup. I'm not sure if you've read it. So that build, measure, learn. That's really important. And if you can basically develop an idea and self-study, and man, honestly, with the internet, you got an abundance of resource.
Yeah.
Just find out your strength first of all, and take it as far as you can with you.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you're in tech, if you want to get into something with tech and software, you need a developer, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not a developer, like for me, I have the industry expertise and I can see how I can integrate into the industry. So my role as business development manager. You just need to find these people, and these people are out there. Networking groups is massive, and also don't underestimate your own network and like the second circle. So for example, who your friends may know, or who your parents may know. But yeah, there's always people out there. You just got to find out who you are and what you bring to the table and what you need.
And where would you go about starting? Because for myself, I have like, even now I've been like trying to build a network through just one, podcasting, two, just getting out there and talking to people and trying to get in contact with people. And then with my friends, we went to this business conference, and I didn't really network there because it wasn't really, it was more catered towards supplies and
of course.
But where would you recommend going and trying to start a build network?
Definitely. If you aren't in a space that pretty much give these networking events open to you, there is things like meetup.com. Might be .co.nz, but it's pretty much you pick the topics you are into, and it will show you like every week all the networking events, and you can attend these for free, sometimes at a cost. So generally when you walk into one of these, like for me being a really antisocial person naturally, what you do is there's always like meet and greet at the first half an hour, and they have some pitches and talks, and then again meet and greet and drinks at the end and nibbles. So the goal there is pretty much walk in, put your name tag on, find someone that isn't talking to anybody, and just go, hey, I'm etc. What do you do? Or you see his name tag, what do you do? And then exchange your card. Keep it short and sharp. Next person. So sort of like an art networking. It's a skill in its own self. I would really recommend creating a business card, and again, identifying what you do and what you bring to the table. You know. And network. Go to these events, make an account. You're going to feel really uncomfortable at first, but when you see what these people you meet start opening up and doors start opening up, it's like honestly a snowball effect. You just you know, it's sort of like an addiction, a drug.
So with networking, would you say networking and building ARX and becoming a personal trainer, would you say doing all these things gives you advantages? Or gives you skills if you just take it away from money, take it away from success, take it away from building a network, the actual obvious things? Do you think it builds your other aspects of yourself?
Definitely. Like I know that, for example, my goal has always been, I don't think I've really shared this goal with anybody, but in 2013 when I was in that Max College, one thing they always got us to do was every time we sit at the table, the board table for a class, at the back of our book we'd always have to write down today's goals in future tense, what we want to be. And one of the ones I always wrote, I've achieved a lot of them actually, was millionaire before 30. I just threw it out there, and I always used to tell people that, man, if I don't hit it by 30, at least I'll hit it by 35. And that's better than a lot of people retiring at 60, right? So I started to learn more and more that to become that millionaire, and it's not about money for me, it's about options. Like my parents have always struggled coming up here being migrants from Malaysia. I wanted money to never be an issue for me. Bills never be an issue for me. So I know to become this person, I need to develop myself in every aspect. Going back to what we talked about training. So I know that I need to refine my sales skills, my marketing skills, my networking skills, my communication skills. I just need to become an overall better vision of myself. And I know by communicating with all these people and putting myself out of my comfort zone, that's going to happen. So that's what I felt from ARX. Doing these, holding a demo at, like, for example, in Paris, VivaTech. That was way out of my comfort zone. I'm around global leaders, like people from Facebook launching their idea, and I'm just this random dude from Auckland. But they were treating me like a professional, and it sort of shows me the demeanor and helps, I guess, better myself.
And just shows you how like they act with their I guess authority, like
exactly.
Like, and all that, because how did that Paris thing happen? What's the deal with that? Because from what I saw, it was you went to some event and then that led to something else and then led to something else.
Exactly. So the space ARX is based in now is called the AR/VR Garage.
Yeah.
So AT, which is Auckland Transport, opened this space, and it's government funded to try and create Auckland as a innovative hub for augmented reality and virtual reality.
Yeah.
They see a lot of potential there, and it's a lot of sponsorship from Japan and all these other countries too. So we're working out of that space, and in that space they pretty much give us non-stop opportunities. And one thing my business partner said, is someone that will definitely get on the show in the future, is apply for everything when you're not ready.
Yeah.
And then if we get it, we make sure we're ready. So we just applied for everything. I remember when the idea was only 3 months in, we applied for a business accelerator, which was $100,000 for 10% equity. So that was at Flux Accelerator, based in the Ice House. A lot of people will know what that is. But what's crazy about that is out of all the businesses, we made it to the finalists, which was the 10 businesses out of 250, and all we had was just a random idea.
Yeah.
And that was a big turning point for me. Like my partner Joe already knew this, but I was like, man, just from applying from that, we got that much recognition and got that far. So since then, applying for everything. Viva Tech was one of these things, the Paris trip. Fully forgot about it. Applied. It was just a random thing we quickly applied for on the day in January. And then boom, when June came around, French embassy contacted us saying we wanted a trip to Paris. So they paid for everything. And so
that's insane.
I know, right?
Because definitely, like, for myself with the podcast, I'm like trying to reach out to these people that are like so far up here, and it's sort of like trying to get the needle in the haystack kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, where do you? Because for myself, I don't have this big like business idea. It's more like it's just something I have to just keep going at. Like, when someone does have that business idea, where would they go to find those places to apply and do that?
Good question. There is a lot of places that help business development.
Yeah.
These might be specific for tech.
Yeah.
They may not be, but for example, there is the Grid Auckland, based downtown. There is the Ice House. All of these places house startup companies.
Yeah.
And pretty much have an abundance of resources. Companies at different stages, mentors, investors. They're all based there. Sometimes these spaces you have to pay rent to be based out of. That's one option. But for example, obviously, if you're young, you're 18 or something, you have an idea and you need help, honestly, reach out. You'll be surprised how many successful people are willing to talk to a younger guy that's actually willing to get out there.
Yeah. Even
if you just invite them for a coffee and put your heart out there, say like, hey, I'm really passionate about this idea. I just need a little bit of a direction. It'll be a pleasure if I could take you for a coffee just for 5 minutes of your time. Yeah. Wherever you like, wherever it's convenient for you, and I'll just pick your brain. I guarantee you 99% of the time the guy's going to say yes. Like I would say yes. Yeah, exactly. Because I know, like, especially when I'm asking people for the podcast, they say like, if I make it, I noticed at first I didn't really realize how much more I had to make it for them, and like how like, one, their time's very valuable, so I have to make it like very, very easy for them, and just like they just can just pop down and then it's like done. But like the value that I get out of it is just so much, and it's quite insane. Like all that kind of like they give this out for free, but to me it's like completely, it's like a gold nugget of just knowledge. Oh hell yeah. When it comes to like people like that, has there been a lot of mentors? Is there like a certain few people that have like sort of helped guide you and like? Definitely, man. Honestly, Joe has been a massive impact in my life, my business partner. But like what I said, man, excuse me, I noticed that it's something with entrepreneurs, passionate entrepreneurs that really actually want to bring a positive vibe and grow people. Like one of Joe's good mates, based down in the space, works in something called Industry Connect. Yeah. So when we first started ARX, we needed some advice. We luckily Joe has this guy in his network. We asked, hey Andrew, his name's Andrew McPherson. We asked Andrew if he can meet with us, and he was like, yeah, of course. So he was giving us a lot of basics about starting a company, scaling up an idea. This guy had created a company that generated 500 million, but he actually got liquidated out of his own company. Really? Just because he was inexperienced. And ended up being an employee in his own company. Ooh, so did he end up with like no stock or anything like that? Pretty much. So how would generally, like a quick lesson on valuation, all right? So just say my business, just say ARX, which it actually has recently, I'll tell you about this in a second, gets investment for 100K for 10%. So that means the valuation is at 1 million, right?
Yeah.
So just say we burn the 100K, we need a next round of investment, all right? So we go to investors again, they reevaluate the business, but this time they evaluate it much less. They evaluate it at 500K instead of 1 million.
Yeah.
So that means that 100K for 10% has now turned into 20% equity.
Oh, okay.
So if you can see how a couple, rounds of investment down, you could your percentage could actually become less than 50%, and you can actually not own your own company anymore, and your investor owns your company.
So when going to investors, is the idea that you trade percent, like you trade 10% for a certain amount of cash so you can keep going, or?
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to approach your investor too early.
Yeah.
So the first stage of investment is generally called seed investment. Before that, actually, is something called bootstrapping. So just so you have an idea, like something crazy like, let's say we're building Facebook, okay?
Yeah.
Just say you're building Facebook, you have basic developer knowledge or something. You're going to put your own time and money into it as far as you can get it until you really need a serious cash injection to scale up.
Yeah.
And it's important to have experience or advice on when that point is. When you get to that point, then you look for your first injection of cash, which is seed investment. And usually the investors and yourself will have in mind what that 100K or seed investment is going to mean for your business. So we actually got accepted into something called H2 Accelerator.
Yeah.
Similar to Flux, as I talked about, similar deal, but it's based in Sydney starting August 1st. So 99% I'm going to Sydney in 2 weeks for this.
Really?
Yeah, so it's 100K investment for 10%. So they evaluated our business at $1 million. So what that means, what they want is they take startups and in 20 weeks they commercialize the startup with and set you up for pretty much Series A investment, the next round of investment. So in the next 20 weeks, they're going to make sure and upskill me as much as possible to make sure ARX is in some gyms. My business plan and price revenue model, which is actually something to talk about, is all sharp and on point through their expertise, and set me up to reevaluate the business for something higher potentially and get a much larger investment at the end of it so I can keep going.
Yeah. What did you say, revenue plan, or what was that?
Yeah. So man, like this. For example, I have no experience in that. I have to create a pricing model, for example.
So is that like picking how much it should be valued and
exactly
profit margins, etc.?
Pretty much. So the one scary thing about this is you can have the best idea, but if you make a serious flaw on your pricing model, your business cannot make money. Yeah. So the question always goes is everyone's got a fucking awesome idea.
Yeah.
But how's it going to make money then?
Yeah.
And if it grows, if there's 100,000 users, how's this going to scale up, and can it scale up? So these are all things you have to keep in mind when you're designing a pricing model, especially with software in mind. All new to me, so I have something really basic, but that is what I'm really looking to refine and upskill once I go to Sydney.
Yeah, because definitely, like, when it comes to that, would you want to be thinking about that thing at the very start, like when you've got your first idea, or is that the kind of thing that you just think of and figure out along the way, or? Along
the way, sort of like a business plan. Like when you're writing a business plan, you're just going to skim through and write a little bit on each title.
Yeah.
And that's something you're going to build over time. Like at first, it's all about, I'd say your vision. Your vision is your strongest thing. What the end goal is for your company.
Yeah.
What impact you want it to make. What do you see it doing? And obviously target market in mind. Like obviously, like my target market is gym, personal trainers, and that changed. That's changed over time. Like briefly, and then you sort of chip away at it. So if my target market is gyms, how's the gym going to pay for it? How am I going to make money? How does the gym currently pay for things? Try and base it on other business models in that space, so there's less friction for gym adoption, and that can be for any industry.
Oh, okay, because definitely for myself, it's like when I think of if I would somehow monetize this whole blog and thing in the future, it's definitely something like that I would think that I'd have to do along the way, because it's like
exactly
it's because for myself I noticed, because I've been following you for a long time, and like I've seen a few of the things you've shown, and when you started it was more focused on building social media, but now it's like onto this thing. Like when it comes to like building a social media, do you think things like starting that things like just growing an audience instead of actually starting a business, do you think there's a better way to do it? Like is one better than the other, or is the social media thing sort of focused on trying to make it, sort of, but then the business thing could be in many ways more practical and more like less luck, do you think?
I would say both. To answer your question, for example, if you want to monetize your podcast, right? I would say the first thing to do is, you probably already do this, is 10 other people out there, podcasts that are really successful, and study their journey, study what they've done, study how they're monetizing it, study how podcasts make money, and then sort of just work down from there. Then try and build a plan from where you are exactly right now to how you can get to there and all the intermediate steps. Like why I was into social media before is online training has always been fun for me. You know, like I followed dudes like Simeon Panda and whatnot. You know, like all these. That was always my dream. Lift, get paid for it. People follow me. People buy my plans. I make money. I just lift. Right. So there's a couple things you'll learn with that. Generally, like obviously, real as being completely real. Females will have a better time because they look better generally. Guys will generally follow it. They'll be a lot more successful in that sense. A lot of people do crazy shit to go viral. So if you can do something that's going to go viral, that's another way you're going to make it. Or you can do the organic approach where you're slowly just doing consistent stuff, much more slower. But that would be the way I would say do it. Focus on organic growth. Have a plan based on other successful podcasts. And if you see an opportunity, and keep your eyes open. If you see opportunities for anything to go viral, jump on it. Jump on it, and don't just think stupid shit as well. Like hit yourself with a car, or just for the views, which a lot of YouTubers do.
And with the whole fitness industry, it's a very overrated thing that everyone thinks there's heaps of issues with it. Like personally, for myself, I don't think there's that many issues, or like there's that much misinformation. Like if you look in the right places, because definitely I find on YouTube or a lot of places that I look, like if you can kind of tell when they're giving you shit, really.
Of course.
Do you find if someone was following the typical fitness journey and then continued following that, do you think that's a dangerous plan because maybe it's oversaturated, or?
I definitely, like, oversaturation is true. It is a problem. And I was just talking to some chick I was just training with before about this. Like, she was 18, didn't know what to do. I asked her what makes her happy or what does she enjoy, and she just goes training. So, again, I told her the same thing. Like, it is oversaturated, but it's oversaturated with a lot of the wrong people. A lot of the people are doing it as a job, just as I done engineering. So they don't last. The common statistic with it is generally most PTs don't make it past 6 months.
Really?
Just because they don't have the passion to hold a client base. So if I meet a PT and I'm like, oh, how long have you been PTing? And they're like 3 months. I'm like, okay. Like, I don't think anything bad of it. I'm not one to judge. But if they say like 10 years, that's someone that's running their business properly. He has a passion. It is about passion at the end of the day. The PTs with a passion to benefit their clients and change their client's life, just as training might have changed their own life, are the ones that win. Like, training shaped my life. Training shaped that chick's life I was talking to. And I'm guessing training has probably impacted
definitely.
you.
It's completely, like, back like 2 years ago when I was like a skinny kid, I liked running, and like I found, like, I guess that is training, but like it did help my life, but definitely like weightlifting and that has just completely transformed it, and like the mental aspect of it.
Exactly.
Like, I did not even think it would even touch it. Like, I thought it was just purely like, I used to think like gym junkies they just cared about physical aspect, but like
a lot do to be honest.
Oh yeah, because like it's obviously, and I don't feel like, even when I am like, oh wow, I look great today, like I don't feel bad about that at all. Like, I definitely feel like, because it makes you feel good, and then I feel like perform better, etc. And because with your training, what has been your main styles of training over the years? Or
good point. I've honestly program hopped a lot. Like when I started the gym, as you do, all I done was bench press and bicep curls. And then I realized that I probably got to start squatting soon and whatnot. So I've used online resources a lot when I was younger. As you probably do. You don't really know what you're doing. Nutrition's out the window. Just eat as much as you can and follow 3 sets of 8 to 12, 4 sets of 8 to 12. After that, I sort of started educating myself about training styles when I was maybe in my 2021, once that stuff with the chick happened. I got into boxing. I've always liked combat sports. So pretty much, generic training. I went into boxing, combat sports. What happened there was one of the trainers approached me saying, you know, I got some good potential. Do you want to jump in the ring? I was weighing 71 kgs at this point.
Yeah.
Always been self-conscious about, you know, being a skinny kid, a small kid
Yeah.
in high school. All my mates were like 100 plus kgs.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had like 30 kg difference.
Yeah.
And he just told me pretty much, you drop to 68 kgs and you'll do good in the ring. So I started sort of training for that fight. And then I just remember looking in the mirror every time going, oh man, I do not like this. And then I'll get a little bit of a pump and I feel way better.
Yeah.
And then, pretty much that sort of transitioned me into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I had this one mate, this guy called Dylan James, who's a professional wrestler in Japan, 6'5", 120, 30 kgs. He just came back from a Japan trip at that point. I'd heard all these stories about, you know, his training style's too brutal. He'll put on this much weight and just like destroy you.
Yeah.
So I was so wanted to get bigger. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna commit 2 weeks to this guy and see what happens. Honestly, like the first day he took me for a leg day, as he do, and destroyed me. I couldn't walk for 2 weeks.
Oh my god.
But after that 2 week point, I changed. My body had never grown that much in so long. Like I mean, like in a year, I could say, but a massive boost in 2 weeks. And that was all high volume, heavy weight training. So I'm talking, you wake up to a 1 rep max, then you do a shitload of volume, 5 sets of 20 on the squats, 20 reps at a heavy weights after your 1 RM. You start your workout with pretty much 4 sets of 20 on leg extensions and 1 set of 50, and then you're going on to your squat. Crazy shit like this.
Yeah.
But once my body adapted to that, man, it started looking way different. Everyone started giving me props.
Yeah.
And so that sort of stuck to me lately, you know. I've stayed on that high volume training. A lot of injuries have happened due to it, obviously, because it's a destructive style of training. So I guess right now I'm sort of just trying to balance. I'm sort of happy. I'm finally actually happy with my body. I'm not self-conscious at all about it. So I guess now it's just about maintenance, a little bit of high volume training, but I'm getting a bit of my boxing roots back and getting a bit more limber and athletic.
Yeah.
So I'm not just a generic bodybuilder, you know, quite stiff, which was starting to happen.
So with that, like that, I guess powerboating sort of.
Yeah,
sort of
powerboating.
thing?
Yeah.
Like because for myself, I do more like very similar, but it's more like I just do. I work up to a heavy set and then I just do basic like 12 like sets of 12 and etc. Stuff like that. With why is that style of training so destructive? Just because it's so intense and like it's just work up and then boom, like this bit is the intensity bit, or
honestly you just said intensity. Intensity is the word at the end of the day. Any training style will work. It just depends on intensity. Like I could do powerboarding at 60% and do single set training, which is just a warm up and 1 set at 120% intensity, and get bigger on that style. It's a very mindset oriented training. It's the whole you're going into battle, like honestly, like it's so extreme that it puts you in that survival mode. And that's what I like, you know, and that's what that guy likes, you know. We both had sort of rough sort of childhoods, so I guess and being able to do it with a partner, it's like you got a brother in action, you know, brother in iron as I call it. So we just like it was sort of like a game with that style of training. It's like we both try to break each other, but with our egos and whatnot, like, we don't break.
Do you sort of you make sure that you are pushing each other and making sure that every set you're making sure they're doing the maximum they can do, or
exactly? So for example, if he gets me on a set of 20 for squats, just say, right, so I do the 20 and I really struggle, right, and then I'm like, oh sweet, is that our last set, or sweet, should we just keep it at this weight? And he'll be like, oh no, I'm gonna go up. So I'm like, all right, okay, fine. Yeah, sweet, I'll go up too. But in my head, I'm like, oh shit. You know, but I'll just do it. You just it's that sort of like battle of the ego in a sense. But that battle of the ego, we will go up and I will get that 20 reps. And then I'll know that, hey, actually, what I was doing before wasn't actually my limit. This is my limit. So what is my true limit? You know?
Because definitely for myself, in the last like my first year or year and a half training or whatever, like mainly when I was like running hard and doing that, I was like completely injury free. And then the last maybe 6 months, it's all just injury, and then all that. Do you think there's a balance of, I guess, injury to work, sort of, or injury to progress?
In all honesty, and a lot of people will probably not agree with me in this, is you got to learn to work around injuries. I think one of my biggest downfalls, I actually just remember this now, is when I was training with Dylan, I always complained about injuries. I've always had injuries. My shoulders were messed up at that point. from boxing. My left shoulder was wasted from just jab, jab, jab.
Yeah.
And I told him that when we trained shoulders, I was like, oh man, I can't shoulder press anything past 30 kgs.
Yeah.
Because of my shoulder. And he goes, oh yeah, sweet, we'll see. And then pretty much in like a month, I remember one RMing, which is probably not smart, on the shoulder press, the 41s on the dumbbells.
Oh my gosh.
And my shoulder was sweet. It was just the same sore, but it was sweet.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit of a mindset thing. You got to obviously be a little bit smart. Like why are you getting this injury?
Yeah.
It was to do with my rear delts, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it was also a bit of being too safe mentally. You know.
What do you mean?
Like my shoulder was sore. Maybe I probably should play it safe.
Yeah.
You know, where you got to sometimes take a little bit of a risk.
Yeah.
Obviously, your case is a bit more different because you actually have scoliosis.
But even for myself, I find like a lot of like the worst thing that I ever get is even when I was really trying to go hard on deadlifts, the only really bad thing that happened was like a little back pain.
Yeah.
But then I noticed like the main way I could remedy that is just using a standing desk.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't even the deadlifts.
Exactly.
So it's like, especially because there's probably a few people with scoliosis listening to this. When it comes to like weightlifting, I think I don't know anything about if you're unoperated, but if you are operated, then I think you just have to start slow and then build yourself up and then see what you can actually do.
Yeah.
Because so many of them are so scared to like just start.
Exactly.
And they're like, there's so many that are so self-conscious about their body. Just because imbalances, like even still for myself, I have major like pec imbalances, back imbalances, like all that. Like I think this leg might be longer. Like it's fine, but it's like I feel like they gain a lot more out of just starting very very slow.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's true though. Like even with a lot of my clients and people that start to train with me, and they're like, oh man, I got a sore shoulder or something. You'll start to learn that in this journey, if you are pushing a maximal intensity, you're always going to be tweaked. Like I put my disc out like 3 days ago, and I just had a full upper body sesh.
Yeah.
You know, like in my time, I've done so much. My lower back and right glute has been an issue for the last year.
Yeah.
My left shoulder, I popped out and back in a set.
Oh my gosh. Jesus.
And again, see,
was that underweight? Like, were you?
Yeah. And so what happened was I had a back day with Dylan.
Yeah.
And at the end of the back day, we were finishing off with some barbell pullovers on a bench. So when I was stretching for the pullover, I didn't have my scapulars retracted. And they were loose, and this is when I'm extremely fatigued. So that left shoulder literally popped all the way back and back in that set.
Oh,
and then I was like panicking, like, oh shit, am I all right?
Did you do another rep or no?
No. I sort of stopped and I started just finishing on with some arms, but that left shoulder started burning and actually tore. I had a minor tear in my infraspinatus, so which one of my rotator cuffs.
Oh.
But like even with that extreme injury, my shoulders are one of my strongest points. I'm still in shape.
Yeah.
I still train shoulders.
Yeah.
The point being is don't be so scared. You can push your body to some crazy limits.
Yeah.
As long as you're being smart with technique and you got a bit of experience. Like I'm not going to load up a squat to like 200 on my first day in the gym and just go for it. That's being silly. But push yourself.
Definitely, like for myself, there's like on a lot of exercises, I know I can go as hard as I want. There's nothing I can really do to like blow myself up. Like I'll be fine. But especially with if I'm doing bench and I try to do like if I try to arch excessively, or I try not to load on squat, or even sometimes on deadlifts, like that's one of the main ones, just because I feel like maybe it'd snap, but I'd prefer if it wouldn't snap. But yeah, those are the main places I like try to limit and try not to do anything too excessive.
True.
But you said like 'cause a lot of your training you try to focus on the mindset a lot. Is there things you do to boost your mindset and like keep that at a peak level? Because I know you have very good mindset. Yeah,
training honestly keeps me sharp. If I didn't get into exercise, I wouldn't have this entrepreneurial spirit. I'd be a sheep, as I like to call it, not a wolf. Like honestly, like if you ever see me train and I'm really in the zone, I won't talk to much people. I'll say hi to be polite, but I'll just get back to it.
Yeah.
And if I'm training with the mate and we're really into it, I'll be like swearing and like come on, motherfucker, let's do it. Slapping him and shit, just so we're both in that zone.
Yeah.
And I find that like even when I'm doing a set, what you'll see is me looking in the mirror, bicep killing.
Yeah.
And when I'm actually looking in the mirror, I'm looking in my eyes like going, I can't be broken. I can't be broken.
Yeah.
And
just
this
like
is what I do.
Yeah. Because for myself, with running, I know there's a lot of in the whole running community. There's a lot of talk of you do maybe 1 or 2 high intensity short like burst runs, and then a lot of people focus on one long run and then a lot of just easy super relaxed mileage.
Yeah.
Like, do you have an opinion on that?
To be honest, no, because I'm a big advocate that trainers are specialized in certain areas. Like for me, I've never been a runner. I don't like running.
Yeah.
One element I do know is my strength is the gym floor. That's my expertise.
Yeah.
Powerlifting comps, no. Bodybuilding comps, no.
Yeah.
What I do is pretty much as, do you know someone called Chris Jones?
I think I might have heard of him, maybe.
Physiques of Greatness, Pump Chasers. He's a big YouTube star.
I've heard of Pump Chasers, I think, maybe.
So he's one of the YouTube stars that got me. He's actually the one who inspired me to be a PT.
Yeah.
You know, like I followed this guy, learned a lot from him. He is a PT, not anything else. He always says he gets people from shit to fit.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I do. I help the general public become above average in a sense, and that's my field.
Yeah.
My specialty.
Yeah.
But with that mindset, I reckon the master of mindset is Ronnie Coleman. You know, like a lot of people, if you watch a Ronnie Coleman video, he's going to be barking, making those noises, going, yeah, buddy, like, wait. If you know why he's saying that, it's all mental framing, framing their mindset before the lift. Watch his 800-pound squat or like his front squat with like 5 or 6 plates.
Yeah.
He's just in another zone. He's got Tupac playing and everything, but he's just like relaxed. And after a set, he'll fucking drop the weight and the whole gym will rattle, and he goes, man, that was light. But that's just, he's the master of it, like, you know, and that's what he's been a big inspiration for me in my early days.
Because with like inspirations, I find even sometimes for myself, I'll notice that I will either compare myself to someone or think, oh, they've been doing it for X amount of days, X amount of years, whatever. And then I'll think, why? There's a tendency to think, why do I not have that, blah, blah, blah. How do you avoid the comparison? And do you think that sometimes the comparison can be a driver or...
Definitely. That's it. It's just, like they say, there's a positive in every negative situation, or it's all about perspective. And that's it. You got to look at the positive in it. When I would say never compare yourself with anyone, but at the same time I always compare myself that if another man can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
We're both a man at the end of the day. Like for example, the whole hype with Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
You think about Conor McGregor's story for a second. He's got charisma. He's obviously a natural athlete.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, he's got so much belief and being so laser-like focused, no distractions, that in 4 years he went from wins, pretty much, to benefit, to a $100 million fight with Floyd Money Mayweather.
Yeah, it's like...
Just because he backed himself.
Yeah, like, because everything that... here's probably, like, I don't know much about the fight. I have no clue about it. Like, but... And I don't even know much about MMA, but like just from what I've seen about him, like I knew shit all about MMA. I didn't care about it, but now when Conor has a fight, I'm like, yeah, I'll probably watch that, just because he just knows how to talk. One, like he knows how to control a crowd and make everyone so excited.
Definitely,
and just like he's got that mindset.
Exactly, and like one thing Dana White always says, which is obviously the president of the UFC, is that the first time he met Conor McGregor, there was something about him. There was an aura about him. He knew that this kid had it, and he knew that he had to support this kid. So that's that aura anyone can create. Yeah, that's the aura I work on creating. That, and I've sometimes had talked to some people and they've told me like, man, you are gonna make it. And when they tell me that, it's like, I'm creating that aura. You know, I feel it, and that is the aura of true confidence, 100% belief, no doubt.
How do you create that? Because for myself, it was even now. There's still definitely not like full confidence. It's still like a lot of the time, like I know where I want to be, but it's like journey there, but it's not like, it's still not certainty. Yeah. How do you get there?
It's honestly creating that vision and 100% commitment to that vision. Yeah. I noticed that along this way, I think it was after the Paris trip for ARX is only when I've been 100% committed. I noticed that I sort of felt bad at times, like I wasn't doing enough. Joe knows this. Wasn't doing enough in ARX and Joe's even had a chat with me. I remember like 4, 5, 6 months about the importance of a partnership and equality and stuff. But I noticed it's the 100% commitment. You're going to have to make sacrifices. Yeah. You're going to really have to cater that vision and that person you're trying to become and just be like, fuck it, I'm giving 100%. Nothing is going to stop me. My family ain't going to stop me. Society ain't going to stop me. I get a lot. Keep in mind, I'm 27, sorry. I get a lot of my friends have like 3, 4, 5 kids even at this point. Yeah. And they're all like, man, you know, when are you going to have a kid? Are you going to settle down? And I'm like, nah, it's not even a focus for me. It is what it is. This is just the lifestyle I choose. And they're sort of like, oh, but you're going to be an old dad. You're not going to be a young dad. It's like, I don't really give a fuck.
I don't know. It's like, because like for myself, I find with this whole thing, there's like I try balance having friends and all that with like actually hustling. Like, do you find it's hard to balance those two things? Do you think you need the balance, or
you definitely need the balance? That's something honestly, you'll find the right balance over time.
Yeah.
Shit, I'll talk about personal shit. All right, so like
I can bleep names you want.
No, it's cool. She can hear this. She probably knows. Actually, no, let's not say a name. All right, so like for example, speaking about the struggles I had with balance, speaking about the disruptive training with Dylan.
Yeah.
2015, I was heavily in that. I was all about getting as big as possible as I can.
Yeah.
This is a problem in the fitness industry. This is where guys generally jump on the gear, jump on roids.
Yeah.
They get real bad. What do you call it? Self-esteem issues or perceptions about themselves that when they're looking small, they just feel like shit and want to hide away. Yeah. When they're bulking, they feel like shit, they want to hide away.
Yeah.
That's a really destructive place to get to.
Yeah.
And you got to try and avoid that at all costs. Yeah. Just keep yourself grounded somehow, And it was a chick I was seeing at that time that really snapped me out of it. I was so lost in that. I remember like whenever anyone goes, "What is your goal? What are your goals at the moment?" And I'll be like, I had a chat with my old boss. She goes, "What are your goals in the good home?" And I said, I want to squat 100 for 10, do pull-ups with 20 kgs. And then she goes, no. You're already doing everything you need to do those. What are your goals aside from training? And I had no answers. Yeah. And I was like, fuck, what are my goals aside from training? So a couple of things has really snapped me out of it. I said, I reckon you'll learn with experience. Balance is definitely key. But it's about learning what kind of balance works. Yeah. Like right now, I spend 24/7 pretty much hustling. That's my lifestyle at the moment. But you got to sort of treat your mates as like a meeting in a sense. Like if my mate's like, "Yo, you want to catch up for a feed?" I'll be like, "Oh man, I'm busy, but I'm generally free on Thursdays at 12. You want to catch up like on this Thursday?" And I'll put it into my calendar even to that extent. And I'll make sure I've done everything before going out to a drink. Yeah. Like, things like that. So you really got to schedule things in. Yeah. But balance is definitely key. You can't just do one thing.
Because definitely for myself, I find that sometimes there's a struggle between our balance between, do I have friends or do I go and do all this stuff? Like, do you think you can ever be doing too much work, or is it all about like timing? And
honestly, I reckon it's heavily around your age. Yeah. Generally when you're about 18 to about 24, 23, you that's when people just start clubbing, they're starting to do all these things and still a bit social. Yeah. What you're going to notice in life, bro, is all these high school mates, with every year that goes past, your circle will get smaller. Yeah. Especially when these guys start getting families. Yeah. That's one thing I noticed with half my guys, my mates with kids. I hardly see them anymore as I used to. We used to drink like 4 or 5 times a week, but that's what it is, and it is what it is. It's a big mistake a lot of people make, is they give all their time to their friends, and then they're going to hit 25, 26, all their friends go away, and then what do you have left? You're pretty much starting from scratch. Yeah.
Do you think it's sort of learning to, I guess you could say, not live by yourself, but like live as yourself, not needing the friends? Or like if it happened that everyone else disappeared and you just had your hustle, like do you think it's a good idea to sort of treat that as not as your friends but as your thing? Like you can always fall back on that.
Definitely. I would say the earlier you can find that vision or purpose in life, or what your goal in life is, what do you want to achieve in life, what is going to be your story, and you chip away at that and work at that and learn off other people that are older than you, like for example Gary Vee, how he talks about the hours of what is it, like 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. blah blah blah. If you can just work at that and give time for your friends, but not all the time. Like maybe it's you catch up with them for a feed once a week, or you have a drink. You can drink every weekend if you really wanted to, and get by with it. But it's all about performing as much as you can in the times when you're working. Yeah, that's another good point. I used to always read that all these successful people wake up at 5 a.m. and you got to wake up at 5 a.m. to be successful. Yeah. But then that's not really true, because I noticed that I'm not a person that likes waking up at 5 a.m. Yeah. I do it for work. But when I wake up at 5 a.m., I'm super lazy and unproductive. Yeah. I can rather wake up at 9 and really power out in an hour more than I can do for between 9 and 10 than 5 and 10. Yeah. So it's all about how much you're doing in an hour, how much value you're squeezing out of that time, that time. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, because for myself, I find a lot of the time, like especially during exams, I like for the last say there's 10 weeks of uni, the first 8 weeks I'm doing shit all. Like during the first 10 weeks of uni this year, I was just fucking around at the gym, like doing that, and then like just randomly. I thought I was studying a lot hard, but I wasn't. And then last 2 weeks I really nailed down, and then how do you use your time that you are working? How do you make that more productive and more actually good that you're working instead of actually going and just relaxing?
Yeah, that's honestly a hard one, man. I've really actually noticed lately that this is, I think, subjective to the person.
Yeah.
That I've noticed for me, if something is on my ass, like if I really have to do something that's due, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I was like that in uni too. I'd pretty much study only the night before of the exam,
really,
and not sleep, and hit like a couple of B's and go into the exam with 1 hour sleep and everything in my head. I was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I'd slack the whole year. And I've realized that's starting to work. Like in ARX, it's now at a point where there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Like shit is due all the time. I got like multiple things due, and I noticed that when it's due, if I just sit down and focus, I'm going to get as much done as I can.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, sitting down to focus. I read somewhere, I don't know about the times, but there's like a certain amount of time, I think it's 15 to 20 minutes until you're really in that zone.
Yeah.
And there's also like, I think a headphone that some tech company has just created to help you with that zone, where it's actually reading your brainwaves and it gives you a message when you're in a focused state. And when you're starting to lose that state, it reads that and gives you a notification like, hey, get back to work.
Yeah.
So that's actually a new headphone coming out. But yeah, that point of focus, once you hit that point, don't let anything distract you and just go at it. Put your phone in airplane mode. I've seen you doing stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Remove all distractions, have your to-do list in front of you, and just chip away. Make a deal with yourself. Do as much as you can in an hour or whatever your time is. And then I guarantee you're going to get a lot done. So you got to force it. You got to force it and find out what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
Learn about yourself in this journey, and use those things. Because everyone is different. Everyone's different.
Say if you want to become more productive, where do you go?
Google. I would say tips to be more productive, and then from there it might say these 3 apps best for productivity, and then I'll go on the App Store and see how it works. Or I'll dig deeper into it, like what is my issue with productivity? Is it that is it focus?
Yeah.
Do I need help being more focused? Do I need a skill? Do I need to develop a skill to be more productive? And then go with that. But I think a lot of the thing is a lot of people waste time contemplating and researching rather than doing.
Yeah.
And I've been a prime example of that.
Yeah.
That instead of searching up Google how to be productive, just fucking try to be more productive, you know? If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
you know, just again, turn things off, just pick a task and work at it, you know? And obviously everything on your to-do list or your task list should be things that you know how to do.
Yeah.
One of them might be research something and you just go and research that. But sometimes the tip to being productive is just to do rather than think about or contemplate. Because I can search something on Google and it'll be like 2 hours later and I'm at a whole different topic.
Yeah.
Just like YouTube happens, you know?
Yeah.
So just got to be careful about that.
Yeah. Do you find with ARX when it comes to the differences between VR and AR and all that, do you think that like even now, like do you believe VR is like very, very far away, or AR is going to be definitely next 3 to 5 years, whatever? Like
you got to sort of look at trends in the market. Like VR has been out for a while. You know, PS4 has got the VR headset and whatnot, and you got to also look at pros and cons. Yeah, the VR fully blocks all vision. Yeah, so there's obviously certain applications you can't use that where you need to see things around you. VR headsets generally are tethered, which obviously you have the wires. Yeah, and they're big and clunky. Yeah. If you look at AR, on the contrary, like things that have been in the past, Google Glass, you know, that was pretty shit. It failed way before its time. What
was the deal with that? Did they just sort of?
So I think they pretty much rolled it out and didn't get any traction, and it sort of got forgotten about. Oh yeah. But the beauty is a lot of people have been working on AR developments since that point. Yeah. So it's been like working. The hardest thing with AR is it's going to need a lot more time than VR. Where the market is in VR, it's a lot more developed than AR. Like
because there's like with VR, it's so gaming oriented, or like
more software wise. Like people are still developers are still trying to figure out AR, and hardware wise, like we don't really have the technology for AR yet to be applicable.
Like to make it so portable and like
exactly. So ideally, you know, having a pair of Ray-Bans where which with hand recognition, surface recognition, to the point that both of us can chuck on a pair of Ray-Bans and play catch with a virtual ball.
Yeah.
That would be like ideal,
Yeah.
you know, in the space, and we can bounce it off the wall and it's going to get you. But it just can't do that yet.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing that's like all these features are getting rolled out slowly, like
Yeah.
surface recognition. Microsoft HoloLens is probably the most leading AR headset at the moment. It's massive. It's like $4,000.
Oh.
So obviously people can't buy it,
Yeah.
you know, generally. With a little bit of trending, Apple's making some big moves. Have you heard of AR Toolkit?
I don't think so. I think I might have heard something about it, maybe.
So I've been posting a lot of stuff about that. So obviously Apple's at iOS 10 point something at the moment.
Yeah.
iOS 11, they're rolling out AR to every iPhone above 6 and above.
Really?
AR features. So that toolkit is already open for developers. So it pretty much installs AR capabilities on your iPhone.
Yeah.
And why Apple is doing this is there's going to be some winners in the intermediate, but they're trying to prep to bring out their own headset, and they've said 2021, 22, 19, around that kind of time, and that's when they predict that the headset is going to be what we talked about.
Yeah.
You know, ergonomic, cost efficient, have the hardware we need.
Yeah.
So they're smart. They're pretty much rolling out to all the existing customers. A little bit of a teaser of AR technology.
Yeah.
You know, see what kind of things develop from this while they're creating their headset. And I've also seen news that they've just also bought out like a smart glass company in Germany. So they're making all these moves. And if you really watch this, you can sort of try and benefit from this. And it helps with ARX too.
Yeah. Do you think, like, the scary thing I can see with like AR is like, with like the whole invest in like the seed round and all that, like, do you think there's like a scary risk of being too early or being like...
Definitely. That's a risk you got to take. Like, with a lot of this technology, will be tested in the market very early.
Yeah.
Then it will flop. Then they will get to a point where it's generating enough traction to be like, hey, this is actually going to be a winner in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And AR is sort of showing that already. Like,
Yeah.
AR VR hype has never been as big as it is now.
Yeah.
It's always a good sign when big companies like, Facebook, Snapchat are getting into it, Instagram's getting into it, Apple's getting into it, you know. That's all a big sign that if these guys are investing millions of dollars in it, most likely it's going to be something. It's
like
not just
that
going to be...
sort of, that it's like about to burst, sort of? Like,
yeah, definitely. I'd say by 2019, 20, 21, 22, and that kind of range, it's going to be something that's all around us.
Yeah.
In one way or another. It's going to be... There's a lot of applications in industries at the moment. Like, for example, firefighters. There's a AR application that on their visor and their suit, it shows their oxygen levels, the heat.
Really?
Yeah, so it's pretty much makes obviously the job a lot more safer.
Yeah.
And that's already a go-ahead. There's one in random things like elevator repair. So obviously when you open the thing and all those wires are there, the AR headset can pretty much highlight what needs to be changed, what is what, and take you through the whole process and the instructional process with you. So it's sort of like a teacher, a guide, a tool. So there's a lot of applications in industrial areas. There's entertainment, which is more VR at the moment.
Yeah.
And our application is in fitness.
Yeah.
I have a vision on how it's going to be. So that's what I guess ARX is trying to create.
Do you think, like, with ARX, do you think that one, developing the technology will like completely dominate fitness, and then do you think you'd want to take it into different things, or would the main focus be just laser point on fitness and just dominate fitness? Or
what I want ARX, my vision for ARX is to be the leading AR provider with fitness and exercise applications. Only cause that's the industry I know. It's better to stick onto one niche than being a jack of all trades. There's already a million other guys that are going to be big winners in their own area. So I guess it's really focusing on fitness and making sure I get fitness right. One thing I see how ARX is going to be is if you look around the fads in the gym, things that have popped up and sort of stayed there. CrossFit. You know, there was like a bigger boom in CrossFit, but now there's many CrossFit gyms around there. A lot of people adopt the CrossFit style. Spin class, something that was just created. Now a lot of gyms have X-Ride or spin. Zumba, etc., etc. There's even resistance bands becomes a part of the gym. So in the fitness industry, you'll see that there's a lot of fads and gimmicks. There'll be things like the Ab King Pro, you remember that thing? That sort of, just gets swiped away. But if you can figure out why those ones stayed, like the CrossFits, the Zumbas, the spins, and you can replicate that and integrate that into the gym and plan accordingly, then your idea has a good chance to stay, as long as it's not a gimmick.
Yeah.
No one else is doing what we're doing. So
Like,
that's why.
because if you know that it's like, it actually works and it has the potential to be this thing, and then you have to go from that to fad and then to staying there consistently. Is that sort of the idea, or?
Generally, like a lot of people will look at ARX as another gimmick,
Yeah.
like just like another tool. But the thing is, we're using a technology that's never been done before.
Yeah.
We're clear about our vision with ARX from the start.
Yeah.
And we're gamifying exercise, which is something that has been done for years.
Yeah.
My PT sessions, for example, if you look at even a CrossFit, they'll call it like like Roxanne 3.0 or something.
Yeah.
So PT session, one thing I'll sometimes do is I'll call something the medicine ball 400.
Yeah.
It just means 400 reps with different exercises using a medicine ball. I slap on a fancy name, and what we'll do is like some sort of a pyramid. Like you start at 1 rep on each, then 2 reps on each.
Yeah.
So sort of like a game if you think about it.
Yeah.
So we're actually truly gamifying it using technology now. Something that's again already been done. We're just using new technology to recreate what's already there.
Yeah, and because it's obviously like, it's not a, well, it's obviously a big industry already, but like it's not a thing that everyone's using every single day already. How do you think when it comes to like competition, do you think there's already a lot of competition in the fitness of AR yet, or how do you think that is?
Yeah, so when we started this idea, like when I was talking to Joe on the treadmill, we were like, oh, obviously someone's already working on this.
Yeah.
So market research is really important when you do a new idea.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a new idea, like technology-wise.
Yeah.
So we started searching. We found like what else is working in the space, and there's no one with our niche.
Yeah.
There's a lot of AR and outdoor AR running. That's like Zombie Run. That whatever that thing is. The app Run with Zombies or something.
What is that?
Apparently, you got to keep a pace up, and like your phone tells you if there's a zombie
so
chasing you.
like, they just use the app to tell you, and there's notify if you're about to die. Or whatever.
Exactly. I think it's through the headphones. I haven't really used that, but Google Glass tried to do that with the actual. You could see the zombies and they're chasing you. So that's the most generic. Like when you think of getting in shape, the most generic, uneducated fitness person is going to go, "Hey, I'm going to go for a run," right?
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah.
That's what makes us different. Like I guess what I see in being in a gym, my application is specifically for a gym, for users. This is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a member. This is what I can see my clients doing.
Yeah.
Competition wise, nothing. I've also seen in the VR space, VR on like a rowing machine or on machines.
Oh yeah.
So pretty much, when you're biking, you're on the Tour de France or whatnot.
Okay, so they just sort of. But it's because when I've seen like the things you've posted about about ARX, it's more focusing on a whole different range of movements.
Definitely.
Is that a very hard thing to do?
Definitely. Like as a trainer, you see a lot of people come see me and like, hey, I've been training for all this time. I've lost like a couple of kgs, but I'm just stagnant now. So what have you been doing? Oh, I've been going for a run. I was spending 30 minutes on the treadmill, rower, blah blah blah. That's the generic cardio, and they don't understand the importance of compound exercises, right? Your squat, your press up, your lunge.
Yeah.
So that is what I'm trying to transform. The compound essential movements. I'm an advocate and preacher of that you should be doing your squats, your press ups, your deadlifts, whatever it may be. So the tool is gamifying that and finding out how you can capture these metrics and capture a squat, capture a lunge, and those are the things we're working on.
Yeah, because definitely for myself, I notice a lot of my friends, like even like especially with girls, they tell me like, oh yeah, hey, do you have any advice for getting toned and all that? Like, and they don't really understand the like specifics of it. Would it also be a tool for educating people about it, or?
Definitely. I would say sometimes you can educate someone and they still won't do it because it's painful. So for me, it's if I can sort of build the formula on what needs to be done and then just make it fun to the point you just think it's a game and you're just doing it because it's a game. That's my mission accomplished. So if you're playing a game which is getting you to squat, do press-ups and lunges for 30 minutes rather than you just going for a run outside for 30 minutes, one, you're going to get toned and in shape way faster doing that method, and two, it's going to be fun. You don't even think you're exercising.
Yeah, because I know definitely with my mum, she I've tried to get, she's asked me, oh James, can you help me get abs, like all these things, and then when she gets in there, she's like, oh, I hate this, like she completely hates it.
Exactly.
That's like, because at first with ARX, I didn't get it, like I thought, oh, it's just another gimmick, but now I'm like, oh, okay, because at first I thought, oh, people just don't know what to do, but now I know a lot of people hate exercise, so it's like, I definitely think it's like, it's definitely got a good like I don't know what you call it, audience, client base, or
Yeah, definitely. I think even stronger than the technology is using something that's already being done. Like there's a lot of fitness apps dominating the industry. We're pretty much just creating a fitness app and using augmented reality to enhance it.
Yeah.
So everything you do in the glasses in the game, that's only just one little experience of it. But the hardest thing is keeping your member engaged when he's outside of the gym. Because once he's back home, he's eating his chocolate. He's probably deciding not to go back to the gym tomorrow. Oh, I'll take the week off. I'm feeling tired. I can't be fucked. But that's where the whole back-end app, where it's going to be things like achievement boards, live challenges. Just say if I have you added on my ARX app and you just got a high score, maybe give me a notification to pop up on my feed. So subconsciously, exercise is always on your mind. And it's sort of like, oh shit, okay, I'm like three workouts away from 100-point achievement.
Oh yeah.
Some sort of coin system with that too.
Yeah.
It's gonna push you like, all right, let me get these 3 in for this week, and then I hit 100 points, and who knows, I could maybe buy something with that in-app currency. So all those little tools from apps that are already doing this is a big powerful point on ARX and how it's gonna have longevity, in my opinion.
Because definitely for myself, before I started exercising a lot, I was addicted to video games, and now
Likewise, still am.
Yeah, it's like now I feel like in some ways I'm addicted to exercise. So it's like, do you feel like, is there ways that you try to build in, not like I think addiction has very negative connotations to it, but like, do you think there's ways you can build in that addictive qualities and make it so people keep coming back and they just feel like they really want to exercise now?
Definitely. Beauty about my business partner is not just any developer, he's a game developer.
Yeah.
He's made games that have been on Steam before, released something called Phantasmal. So his knowledge and experiences on gamification and elements of gamifications. There was don't quote me on this again, there's like these little acronyms that mean like the 4 points of gamification, something like leaderboards, something. And pretty much everything around gamification is how video games are designed, like to keep the guy coming back, to keep the guy always thinking about it, to make it addictive, as he said. And that's the beauty about it. Exercise can be like that too. So we sort of bring them together. You can get all the benefits of an addictive video game through exercising, which is actually a positive. So that's pretty much what we're trying to do in a nutshell.
Genius, to be honest. Like, I don't know. When I first saw ARX, I thought, oh, of course, of course, he's probably like the 500th person doing this.
Yeah,
but it's
exactly.
But it's like there's probably 500 people who have thought that there's so much other people doing it,
and it's the one that takes action that actually does it.
How would you? Because for myself, like I feel like recently in the last when I had the idea for this podcast, I went and I just step 1, step 2, step 3. How would you? When someone has that idea, what's the main advice you'd give them when they have this initial little idea that they think, oh, this might be stupid, but like
there's 2 routes. Like again, it depends on you. Like what I told you before. It's first of all find other people that are winners in the space. And study their path. And try and build a vision of what you want to be. But at the same time, aside from that, point of difference is my motto. Like I don't like being generic. I don't like just doing what another guy has done. I want to be that Mark Zuckerberg. I want to be that innovator. So think of something fully outside the box that is going to work with the formula that's already out there. And see if you can create that. So for example, disruptive technologies right now, I would say it's augmented reality, virtual reality. I'll pick your brain for a second. How do you think AR or VR could take podcasting to another level?
I literally have
a good question though, right? So from my experience, why does a person watch a podcast? You tell me.
They either get some value from it, they find it entertaining, or they just it feels like they're in a conversation.
I got a beautiful idea. So what is a podcast? How do I view or listen to a podcast? I obviously listen to it, right?
iTunes or some random podcast app.
And obviously some of the podcasts out there, a lot of people listen to like these big names that's their idols, like Gary Vee, right? So what just imagine, instead of just being auditory, what if it's visual too? What if you could chuck on the VR headset and you'd be sitting there and you're watching and listening to it? Now you're in the room with us.
Now it's like the full experience.
Exactly.
Because a lot of that technology could already be here thanks to like 360 cameras and stuff.
So you could call it full experience podcast or something, FEP. And then you research to see if anyone else is doing that. If they're not doing that, you start seeing how you can do that. Meet up with a developer and create it, and you might have something. So that's an idea right there.
So I'll probably snap that up.
Exactly. So I would say actually look at that, and from that one idea, there's going to be a lot of different niches on how you could do that.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe who knows? There's even hologram technology being worked on right now. So I've seen being able to hologram another person into the room in real time.
Yeah.
So that could be.
Does that mean like? Is that AR? Like.
I think that's different.
Is it like? Do you need to be wearing a headset, or how does?
I think it's through cameras. Some cameras. There was this one demo where there's a room and like a kid gets. Have you seen that? A kid gets hologrammed into the room and like her dad's like playing with the teddy, and you can sort of see each other. I don't know how it works, but just another random out there idea is that thing where you could podcast anyone and they get holographed into the room while you're podcasting them, and you're just recording that. So it's like you're not limited to anyone around just Auckland or in your vicinity anymore.
Yeah.
That you can bring another person into your room.
So like if I am conducting a Skype interview, there might be like in the future there might be some way that I could show to the viewer like it looks like we're sitting here.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
Exactly. And a lot of people like this, the whole might be in the future.
Yeah.
Holograms, maybe one day. But if you actually researched it, you might actually find that that's actually viable in the next 5 years. And then you're the first person to fucking think about it and actually take action on it.
Yeah.
Like, don't underestimate how fast technology is going.
Yeah.
It's fucking going fast.
Yeah.
You know, like, so much shit is going to be possible. It's just a matter of, is it smart to get into it now? Are you way too early? Are you too late? Are there other competitors? But yeah, think of disruptive technology. That's why I love technology, to be honest, and I always have, is... it's moving so fast. What's that law? You know how every day it's like growing exponentially or something?
Yeah. Compound interest maybe?
Something along the lines
how
of
like
this.
Computers are like 500 times more than they were like 10 years ago or
exactly.
something.
And that's exponentially. So it's like an exponential curve.
Yeah.
So we haven't hit that point where it's a straight line, and who knows what that point means. But it just means that it's the rate of growth of technology is faster every day than it was the day before.
So it's like...
Exactly. Anything's possible.
That's kind of like sometimes when you think about this stuff and you think about like a lot of people, you hear people like just in conversation, people say like, oh, one day we're going to be taken over by robots. One day we're just going to be like, because people already love their phones, right? Do you think it's scary seeing people that it could AR and things like that could completely change the way people live?
The thing is, it's going to happen if you like it or not.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
It is what it is, and you just got to figure out how you're going to benefit from it.
Yeah.
You know, as savage as it is, and robots are already out. Like one thing in Paris I saw is the major theme was robotics and AI. There's already robots that like can pretty much do half the things for you, and I'd say within that 2020, 2022, you could probably have an iRobot situation. Not like when they take over, but I mean a robot helper at every house. People actually like
sort
so
of like,
close to that.
Like, because I've seen Gary's talked a lot about how they would use things like, I think it's Apple HomeKit and the Amazon Alexa or something, and they use those to completely look after a house. Would it be that sort of situation?
Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of things. I guess at the end of the day, this whole game is what is a problem and how can you create a solution? That's business 101.
Yeah.
And there's so many problems. The problems could be like your room's not clean.
Yeah.
You know, something like that. Then a new technology could make that much more easier.
Yeah.
Do a million other things at a cost efficient price,
Yeah.
and then be sold to every home. You know, something as your windows might be dirty. Again, boom, boom, boom. You see every little around the room. There's a million ideas you could do.
Yeah.
You just got to train yourself to think like that.
And just how do you get into that sort of mindset?
Yeah, that's the idea of books I talked to you about. Remember that book I have called Ideas?
Yeah. Do you just sort of even if it's even at the time you think, oh, maybe a shit idea, you just write it down?
Yeah, just get into a state of I guarantee you probably have this where a lot of people have this like, oh man, that would be a good idea. You know those moments?
Yeah.
Write those moments down.
Yeah.
And just get into the habit of it and learn about like how these ideas can turn into a business. So I don't know much about it. What I learned in the PT school was pretty much like the vision of the business, target market, location, price, how's it generally going to be priced.
Yeah.
Even if you start with that, think of a creative name. Just sketch your logo in your free time.
Yeah.
Think of who's this going to be sold to potentially. How much would it potentially be costed if you really want to go to the next level? Do a vision. Like if you sold this for 1,000 people, how much money would it make? You know, just a quick skim. You don't have to research these things.
Yeah.
And then just put it away.
Yeah.
If it is an idea you want to take action on, go ahead, do some more research on it. But a lot of these ideas, I've gotten to a certain point and then I was like, oh no, actually that's not working. I don't want to do this. I'm just going to something else. But I noticed that all those little ideas, I was so frustrated back then. Like going, fuck, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But now I see that all of those actually mattered, you know?
What do you mean, like they were stepping stones and like
Definitely.
like if they didn't work or they were unfeasible, do you think that it's very good to have those sort of things?
Definitely. I just pretty much each one of those ideas taught me how to think like that.
Yeah.
And I noticed that what I learned from one idea, I took to the next, took to the next, took to the next, took to the next. And I pretty much trained myself without knowing I was training myself.
Yeah.
So that could be a good game for anyone else that's looking to train themselves, you know?
So if you had, what would be your like number one thing of advice or number one saying or number one thing that you would say to someone starting on this journey or through this journey? What's the number one thing you'd say?
Take action and start a business.
Yeah.
Any business right away. Obviously, don't make mistakes in terms of like taking out a fucking $10,000 loan and getting yourself financially.
Yeah.
Bootstrap a business as far as you can.
What's that?
Bootstrap is using your own money and time to see how far you can get a business.
Yeah.
So, for example, your podcast, that virtual reality podcast, think up a name for it. Do some market research on it, and just see if you can do it. You know, and like for example, even with me, I'm in the ARVA garage. I can hook you up with people that actually make that happen.
Yeah.
So there you go. I just gave you an opportunity. It's just up to you now if you're just gonna see if it's a viable opportunity and go for it. But action is the key. Back yourself. Have 100% belief. Pick an idea and just fucking take action. See how far you can go with it. Especially if you're young, you got so much time.
Yeah.
You don't realize, like, even at 40, 50, imagine if you just chased an idea from 18, failed in every idea, the level of experience and skill you have at 50.
Yeah.
You know? Before that, you're going to fucking make it.
Yeah.
You know? Even at 30, that's what, 22 years of experience in businesses.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that's pretty much it, bro.
Good shit, my man.
Sweet, bro.
I think we'll probably cap it off there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, my man.
But bro, all good. Anytime.
Sweet
We'll
as.
catch up in the future when I'm a bit more richer, right?
Yeah. Sweet as.
See, bro.
Thank you guys very much for listening and have a good day. Hey guys, thanks so much for listening. I thought that was an amazing interview with Chent. He gave me so much knowledge on and off the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to hear more, then subscribe to the podcast. If you would like to hear more about me or more about Chent, there are links to our social media in the description. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you hated the podcast or if you loved the podcast, I would love if you would leave a review on iTunes or Podbean or Google Play or wherever you're listening to this. Thank you guys very much for listening and have a good day.